Hey everybody, it's Delilah. How are you guys today? Getting a couple notes together. Come on in. Say hi, introduce yourself. Happy International Women's Day. Get my notes. Yeah, celebrating International Women's Day. Hey guys, I'm so excited to be with you guys tonight. It's going to be a great session, good information, powerful. I wanted to get a little bit of a hook in. We'll get a little bit of a hook in, and then we'll get started. Come on in. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Come on in. It's all in me. It's all in me. I agree. Hope right now everyone's amazing. So much fun. So much fun. So much fun. Thank you guys for joining again live in 3 different locations on 3 different platforms. So keep the conversation going. Come on in. Let me know as you're checking in where you're checking in from. Name, location would be awesome. Name and city. Don't give up your address. That was a joke. But come on in. So glad to be here. Hey, nice intimate setting tonight because we're talking about the power of femininity. As we are celebrating today, International Women's Day, it is a great opportunity to come. Hey, come through, Antonio. And so, it's a great day to talk about power, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Talk about the power of femininity. It's not talked about often. I have a story to share. I have some examples on how we can really unlock this power. It's really good information for women. And so you're here. You may have wives. You may have daughters. You may be the powerful woman yourself. All are welcome, and so glad that you guys can be here today. I do want to call attention to a great message that I shared this morning that you can find all 3 platforms as well: YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Tune into that because really looking to unlock the next generation and create legacy in what we're doing. But today's message is a 2-part message for this month, which is Women's History Month, where I'm really looking to share information that looks to amplify influence, impact, and income of leaders that happen to have a sensitivity to my frequency and what I share. And so that's why I'm here. I'm here to help. That's the message, that I am here to help. The information that I share are keys to unlock the next level and the next level and the next level. And so today's conversation is around the power of femininity. And so I want to open it up with a story. Again, I think I put here that this is a listen and launch. Whenever you hear me say listen and launch, that means there should be a notebook or a note-taking instrument around you. This is not just listening and being motivated and feel good, encouraged, because there's 3 things that I do. I encourage, I empower, and I equip. This is an equipping. This is an equipping, and it's typically encourage, empower, equip. So when I encourage you see me on all platforms, just generally sharing, hey, here maybe is a piece of motivational information. Empowerment, kind of along the similar vein, but I'm sharing things that really kind of shift and unlock old mindsets and things of that nature. Equipping, I'm actually giving you tangible things that you need to walk away with and consider implementing in your life. And so we're today we're in between empower. We're doing all three, but we're living in between really empowerment and equipping. So have a notebook handy. So welcome to the calm space of power and femininity. Uh, there's so much power in that, and I really, yeah, I do want to start with sharing a story. And so, how this came up for me to share here with you guys, I'll never forget. I was on a panel at one point, and it was a panel of happened to be a panel of African American leaders, and I was asked a question, and the response I gave to the question was, I think it was a question like. What is one of the biggest things you've ever learned as a senior leader? Like, what is that moment? And I responded in a way that it was learning to be more genuinely me, and I was asked to expound on it. And so for me, it was a time in my career where I had a lot of male leaders around me. I was a young leader who hadn't had a lot of exposure to senior leadership, and so the rooms that I would be invited into would be a lot of male leaders. And so, just like some people, most people, I believe a lot of us learn through modeling or maybe even imitating, maybe I should say to a degree. Um, Through what I was seeing in the workplace, as far as male dominance. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say male dominance. Just men being men. Let's say that. As far as male characteristics. Thank you. As far as male characteristics, in combination with just some things I hadn't yet unpacked for myself on how ways I protected myself. I found myself showing up in rooms with this level of aggression that didn't necessarily serve everybody. I shared in the question, I shared in the answer to the question. I was carrying this assertiveness that wasn't naturally mine. I had to find a way that I was able to soften and still bring value and still get stuff done, because I don't want you to think that femininity is about not getting stuff done. It's actually about bringing something to the table that's incremental value to everything that's going on. Said differently, everybody's not looking to show up in powerful femininity. Now, we all have traits of feminine and masculine. We just do. Varying degrees of feminine and masculine. But I do believe as women, we're nurturers. Everybody should be a nurturer, but as women, we're designed to be nurturers and and caregivers. And follow me as I'm talking. I'm sure you guys are following me as I'm talking. And so when we're in environments, when I'm in an environment, let me speak for myself, and this is where I can help you. When I'm in an environment, there's certain things that I'm looking to care for. I'm looking to care for the people in the environment. I'm looking to care for the process in the environment. I'm taking ownership in my femininity of being a caregiver and a nurturer to make sure certain things are happening. So, I gave the answer that I had to learn how to be me and not be the other people. And that took some time, but I learned how to do that while still getting stuff done. That was pretty much the short answer. Three areas that I really want to point out on how this can look, and things that you can actually do. Things that you can actually do. Um, there was also this instance of, and these three will be tied to action. These three, I think they're all three stories. Two stories and just one comment. And so there was, I'll never forget, I was in an environment and there were jokes being made. And it takes courage to not, if it takes courage when you're in a room full of people who are powerful people, and they're all laughing, but you don't find it funny. You typically, if you could check your behavior of others, if you're honest with yourself, you'll probably find that in cases in your life, you were laughing at things that you didn't even think were funny. And so there was one instance where I realized that about myself, that I was laughing at things that weren't funny. I wasn't being genuine to myself just because I didn't want to have the courage and the power, and that's what I talk about, power of the femininity, to stand up for what was right, to be the nurturer, to be the caregiver in the room. And so it came upon us where another situation came on, same group of people. The people started laughing, and I was powerful enough to not laugh because it wasn't funny. And standing in my femininity of being a nurturer and being a caregiver, with my masculine power traits, serving the feminine traits, I was actually able to change the course of an environment. And what happened in that case was people softened their tone. People learned how to speak in a way that was more caring, more empathetic, um, more life giving. At least while I was in the room, they knew certain stuff just wasn't going to fly. And so the point there, and the thing you're going to walk away with that is, you have to be genuine unto yourself. If you're not in agreement, or if you're not in agreement, or what's happening is not serving the whole well, you gotta speak up. And sometimes you can speak up by not speaking. And so you may have a case where you need to do that, where it's, oh, we're gonna laugh or joke about it. It's like, no, I'm not gonna laugh or joke about that. And so in service of this strength of care, of empathy, you're using your assertiveness in service to that. You're using your power in service to make sure that the right thing is happening. The second thing I wanted to talk about is paying attention. Paying attention. There's an attention. There's I'm not gonna. I keep trying to frame it up like I'm trying to validate what I'm talking about. I'm gonna stop doing that. It is what it is. We're serving feminine. We're serving the feminine with nurturing and empathy. And so there was an occasion where I was in a meeting, and the person presenting was presenting. I just happened to be the only woman in the meeting, um, and it's common. It's been common that I've been the only woman in a meeting, um, but the person was presenting, and everybody pretty much wasn't paying attention, then wasn't looking at the person while they were presenting, um, and just wasn't paying attention. And so in order to care for this person, this presenter in this moment, I physically turned my chair around to face them and gave them this just dedicated eye contact. And what that said was to the person is that I care about what you're sharing. I'm here and I'm a safe place for you to share it. And I want to nurture you as you continue to speak, present whatever it is you're doing. And you have to be on the lookout for opportunities like that, because one, again, nobody else in the room did it. I was the only one who spun around from the table to give the person my undivided attention. And what that does is people start to notice that. People will start to notice you in a way of, oh, she's a different kind of leader. She does things differently. She actually cares about people. What they're saying is important to her. She tunes in. And then your brand, it becomes a part of your brand, as far as who you are and the level of care that you have, the level of nurturing that you have, the level of empathy, and the level of yeah, empathy and nurturing primarily. And so, what you want to take away from there is, again, you might look different in the room. Women leaders, men who are married to women, have children who are women. Like they may look different, and people may not understand. Well, why would you do that? That wasn't even necessary. Well, because you thought it was necessary, and you're there to create environments of care and nurture where people can grow, develop, and environments can be safe. And environments can be safe. I hope you guys are rocking with me with this. I see a couple hearts, so I'm gonna keep going. Um, and so that was being the only one paying attention, being a kind place to land. That's actually what I wrote. Being a kind place to land. As people are presenting and you're a leader, don't be distracted. Don't be distracted. Give them your attention. Like if this was a child of yours or a friend of yours, you would want like undivided attention. You would want them to have undivided attention. Create that. Create that space. Thanks, Pamela. Create that space for them. Don't hesitate, especially as women. Like, be the nurturer, be the caregiver, create the space. You don't have to come in hard. You don't have to come in. That was another thing from that first story I shared. Like, if they were pounding on the table, I was pounding on the table. Like, okay, this is how you get stuff done. Like, it was crazy. And then I realized, like, oh, I have power, I have strength, but how I use that strength might look different. And so you can use the strength of the power of your femininity. Lastly, I wrote protect your team. Protect your team. And so another way that another way that shows nurturing and caring is by protecting and respecting time, right? So being on time, I specifically wrote being on time for meetings and ensuring that agendas are flowing the way they should, respecting time. Nothing says, well, there are some other things, but respecting people's time is a very distinctive way to show care for someone. Your time is important to me, and so I'm going to be on time for you. The things on the agenda, everybody has something to say. All of that is important to me, and so I'm going to show care by making sure you have the allocated time that we had planned for you to have. Sometimes you're in meetings and it's like, oh, people are just running over. And so it's a 30-minute meeting. Everybody's supposed to get 10 minutes. One person's taking 20. And guess what? Somebody doesn't get to share. And so you may not nail this every time. You may not nail this every time, but to be intentionally thinking in your mind that, oh, I want this person to know I care about them. And so I want to honor and respect the time that they've dedicated to this process. And so, just really some ways on how you're feminine, the feminine traits, because again, I believe everybody has masculine and feminine traits. Um, but how your feminine traits, don't abandon those. Don't think that there's no service. Oh, I used to hear things like it's a man's world. You'd hear things like it's a man's world. Something just popped in my head. I'm about to share it with you guys. This has just become very conversational. And I'm open to questions. So feel free if it's like, hey, Delilah, what do you think about this in service of my feminine traits? What is power? Whatever questions you have, I'm open to questions. Um, but don't abandon your softness. Don't abandon your smile. Don't abandon that nurturer in you, that caregiver. If I give, they're gonna look at me like I'm weak. If I do this, I'm like, who? First of all, who cares? Really, right? Like, who cares? If you're being genuinely you, I can't really care too much about what somebody else is thinking about, right? If I'm not being the best version of me, then yeah, I should maybe tune in. But don't abandon, ladies, don't abandon who you were created to be, right? To take on something that was never intended for you. This is the story this is the last, I think this is the story I want to end this with. Um, I remember I remember going on an interview, and I had it was exactly, Regina, that the interview. I'm gonna push some. I like putting these up here. Oh, and that's a great picture of you, Pamela. Um, I remember going on the interview, and it was an interview that was away from home, and and I took a couple outfits. I took a dress. It was a really hot dress, professional, but it was hot. I took a dress and I took some slacks. But with both outfits, the blazer that I took could have matched both outfits. And so I remember getting prepared. There's Regina, be secure in you. Absolutely. Don't don't take on the identity of someone else. Like, like a fingerprint, there's so many things uniquely crafted about each one of us. When we abandon those things and substitute them with other people's stuff, um, it's good to have information and training, but when you start to change core weaving, like, that's a whole nother thing. um, but anyway, back to the interview thing, because this is simple, but it'll resonate. um, and so the blazer matched both the slacks as well as the dress, right? And it's an interview. You wear a blazer, right? That's the standard. That's the standard. Because that says professional. That says professional. And as I was getting ready, I'm like, but I really don't wanna. I don't. It's hot outside. For that was the thing. It was like literally just functional. It's hot outside, and I don't want to wear the blazer. And as I'm getting prepared, I'm having this internal dialogue with myself on why do you think you need to wear the blazer? And I'm like, because the blazer says I'm professional. And then the conversation continues inside of myself, and it's like, well, what says that that's professional? And then as I backtrack kind of why in my mind, because oftentimes we should question ourselves on why we believe what we believe. Because some stuff we've just adopted and just ran with because that's what the last person said. And we've not really taken the time to say, well, why do I believe that? And so I got to a place where I was able to recognize that, well, it's professional because that's what men wear. The blazer is seen as professional because historically men in certain job functions were filled by men, and that was professional. And so we've just adopted. Now that's not to mean to say don't rock your blazers. I got a whole blazer game. It's not to say that, but it's to say choose what you want based on why you want it, not just based on what you've inherited it as far as why things should protocol, and not just protocol that you've inherited. And so, and in the conversation that I was having with myself, I ended and I landed on you're gonna show up as feminine as possible. That's what you're gonna do. No blazer, dress, pinstripe dress, nice pair of pumps, real professional, not a blazer in sight. Why? Because I made the decision inside of myself that I was just going to show up in my 100% femininity. And it's okay to do that. That's the whole point of this whole conversation. Is it's okay to do that. You're not going to be weak because you smiled. You're not going to be weak because you cared. You're not going to be weak because you're empathetic. You're not going to be weak because you took the time to actually nurture and build. You're not going to be weak because you're not bamming on the table or trying to talk over people. Like, you're going to shift environments, cultures, organizations through kindness, gentleness, nurturing, empathy, care. Like, you can do all of that with those tools. And so I wanted to come talk to us on International Women's Day about the power, because I'm telling you, that was game changing for me. If you've looked over my career, you know I've started from the front line, and I now get the opportunity to sit in a position as a managing director in a major corporation. And it was things like, oh, I'm going to be different, and here's how. Right? I'm gonna stand out, and I'm gonna stand out by being my real self as I've been designed. As I've been designed. It's like, "Oh, Delilah, we wouldn't have ever thought about that." Well, probably because I'm the only woman in this room. You just may not have been designed to think about it that way, because I've had experiences as a woman, because I've had experiences as a mother, I've had experiences as a wife that maybe the people in the room haven't. And so I may respond differently. And then here's what I have to offer the whole that maybe nobody else was given. But when you show up and you're looking like everybody else, you just kind of blend in. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not a blender. I'm more like a highlight. I'm more like a highlight. I thank you guys for engaging and leaving comments. Um, just put it in put it in your notepads. Figure out, like, of what I said today. um, how can you leverage this information starting tomorrow? Be conscious about how you're showing up. Ask yourself why. Why am I responding this way? Is this how I want to respond? Some of you got to ask yourself sometimes, is this how I want to respond? Why am I responding like this? Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And I'm telling you, it's like a hidden gem. Women have some of us have abandoned any sense of, because we think it's weak and people are going to run over us or whatever the case may be, like, it's not. So tune into your femininity. Allow it to serve you well. Again, that masculine assertiveness and dominance, pushing that feminine for, like, because that you need assertiveness and boldness to take some of these actions. You need it to take some of these actions. So there's no punk about it. There's no punk about it. Like, it is straight up power. It is straight up power, but used differently. Be used differently. It's so easy to conform unintentionally. Oh, yes. I mean, and you know why, Pam? Pam, I want to say Pam. Is it okay if I say Pam? But if it's not, I'm okay with saying Pamela. Um, but it is. It's like, it's unintentional because, thank you. It's unintentional, Pam, because we're not paying enough attention. We're not paying enough attention. Another game changing thing. We're just going to continue the conversation, but another game changing thing with me was starting to ask those questions like, why do you think that, Delilah? Or seeing things that was unattractive about myself, behaviors. Maybe it was because I'll tell you too. Like, at one point, my brand was she. I don't share it. I'm just gonna share it. She's a bull in a china shop. She's a bull in a china shop. I mean, if you guys if you're following Delilah's downloads or Delilah Bartlett as a brand, you know I'm kind of straightforward. I'm a straight shooter. I'm a straight shooter. I mean, and that's part of the power of my brand is that the tagline is actually saying what needs to be said. Delilah's downloads saying what needs to be said. Um, I'm a straight shooter. Over time, I've matured. Over time, I've softened. Over time, I've learned how I think. I'm a critical thinker, and not everybody thinks that way. So I have to pace people along to how I'm thinking and why I'm asking questions. But there was a time where the brand was part of the brand was, oh, she's a bull in a china shop. Who wants that said about them? Right. And so I had to ask myself, well, why are you, and then maybe sometimes it wasn't physically pounding, but there was an aggressiveness. Right. Well, why are you doing that? No, I want to protect myself, or I want to be seen and I want to be heard, and they're not creating space for me, and I'm trying to just pound my way in. Things like that would come up. And they'll be like, well, I think talk to myself like, well, how can you do that differently? How can you do more wooing and winning versus running over? Versus running over. So to your point, Pam, we conform unintentionally because we're not asking questions. So I would definitely say start there with things that you're like, I don't know if I like that about myself. Start asking yourself why. But getting back on this topic, like, use your feminine. You'll stand out. You'll look different, especially if you're in a male dominated area. It's just a natural opportunity to be different. Just a natural opportunity to be different. There are actually studies that say, there are some physical parts of our brain, human male and female brains, that are physically different, like left and right lobe. Like, you can go research and check it out, but it just gives you a natural opportunity to shine and be uniquely you. So that's what I had, guys. Power. Look, even that, guys. That's what I had, ladies. The power of the feminine, right? And how you can stand out, be different. The key takeaways as I go back here, it takes courage to be genuinely you. So have the courage and power to serve, empathy and nurturing. Pay attention, give people your attention. During presentations, don't be distracted. Give care and nurturing that way. And then respecting of people's time. Be on time, follow agendas, be that person. Like, oh, and not only are they going to be like, oh, she's always prompt, she's so concise, she's thorough, like, she just runs a great ship. Uh, it's just gonna benefit you. So that's what I have. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you so much for your comments. I love it. I love it. As we engage with one another, feel free to share this with people in your community that you believe can benefit from this information. It is Women's History Month. I am this month's theme. I've not put it anywhere, but I am talking to history making women during Women's History Month. And so I believe that's all of you who are listening in, and I believe on the other side of you are also history making women. There was a point, and I still believe it, but I don't say it as often. I believe that the power to change families, communities, cultures, cities, and nations reside in the women who serve them. I just so thank you guys for tuning in. Share with your friends and family. And I look forward to joining on the 22nd. 22nd, we're coming back to talk about, let me say something about that real quick. I actually forget, it's about executive leadership. I forgot actually what I coined it, but it's about executive leadership. And it's something that I've learned at this recent level of promotion. And it's going to really help you out either where you are now, and especially as you continue to grow in your career and or your business. So join me here on the 22nd. That will be happening, and follow me on social media. Delilah's Downloads. You're probably going to get a little bit more raw on Facebook and Instagram. I dial it back a little bit on LinkedIn, but not so much as I used to, because I'm just going to show up authentically me. I'm not compartmentalized. Everybody's just going to get it. But yeah, just follow me on social media. All right, ladies, have a great night. We're over 30 minutes. I was trying to get to 30 minutes, and I have to go serve in the capacity of wife because that is my number one function. And so take care. I'll talk to you guys later.